Vanished for years, an Earth ship suddenly returns with technology that could change everything we know about life, energy, and space travel. The crew brings secrets that could launch humanity into a new era or test its limits like never before. Subscribe to HFY Sci-Fi to witness more thrilling adventures, epic discoveries, and the unstoppable human spirit. The Earth had launched the ship Odyssey with the highest hopes and grandest ambitions. It was humanity's boldest mission yet, sent to explore the far reaches of deep space beyond the known colonies. Equipped with state-of-the-art technology, a skilled crew, and the collective knowledge of countless scientists, it represented the pinnacle of human achievement. Families and friends waved goodbye as the crew embarked, promising to uncover new worlds and perhaps even hints of life beyond Earth. For months, everything went smoothly. The Odyssey sent back routine reports, images of distant stars, and data about phenomena never before studied by humans. The crew's messages were filled with excitement and awe. Descriptions of strange cosmic formations and potential alien life captured the imagination of people everywhere. Humanity followed the mission with bated breath, feeling a mix of pride and wonder at how far they had come. Then one day, the messages stopped. At first, it was dismissed as a technical glitch. Communications engineers scrambled to fix the problem, but hours turned into days, and days turned into weeks. The uncertainty gnawed at everyone. Every day without contact grew heavier. The media speculated wildly, some suggesting simple accidents, others hinting at sabotage or mysterious cosmic phenomena. The crew's families were torn between hope and fear, unable to accept the possibility that their loved ones might be gone. Governments launched rescue missions. But the farther they reached into deep space, the more mysterious the Odyssey's disappearance became. Sensors and probes could not detect the ship. Its trail vanished into the dark void, leaving behind only a ghostly echo of where it once had been. Scientists debated tirelessly, analyzing data, rechecking every coordinate, and even examining theories about black holes, wormholes, or unknown spatial anomalies. Yet nothing concrete emerged. Each theory seemed more improbable than the last, adding to the mystery. Meanwhile, back on Earth, hope slowly turned into despair. Public fascination grew into obsession. Everyone wanted to know what had happened. People speculated about alien encounters, secret experiments, and hidden corners of the universe no human had ever witnessed. Stories and myths formed. Some said the crew had discovered something so dangerous that it had erased them from existence. Others believed they had been transported to another dimension or trapped in a cosmic storm. Schools, news programs, and forums were filled with endless debates, fueled by fear and imagination. The families of the crew lived in constant uncertainty. Every anniversary of the ship's launch was a painful reminder of what was lost. They clung to the hope that somehow the crew was alive, somewhere, perhaps trying to find a way home. Despite the absence of evidence, a small flame of hope persisted, driving some scientists and enthusiasts to continue searching, refusing to accept that humanity had lost its boldest explorers forever. Years passed, and the Odyssey became a legend, a symbol of human courage, ambition, and the fragility of life in the vastness of space. The story of the vanished ship inspired writers, artists, and dreamers. It sparked debates in classrooms and governments alike, questioning humanity's readiness for interstellar exploration and the mysteries that lay beyond the safety of Earth. Even as the world moved on, the memory of the ship lingered, haunting the minds of all who remembered the promise of its journey. Uncertainty became the new normal. But it also fueled determination. The disappearance reminded humanity that space was not just a frontier of discovery, but a domain of danger and the unknown. The disappearance of the Odyssey was not just a loss of a ship or crew, but a challenge to the human spirit, testing courage, patience, and the relentless desire to reach beyond the stars. And so, while the void of space had swallowed the ship, it had also ignited a fire in Earth's heart. A fire that would not be extinguished until answers were found. Speculation, hope, and grief coexisted, shaping the world for decades. Every scientist, explorer, and dreamer felt the pull of the unknown, inspired by the bravery of the crew who had dared to venture farther than anyone else. The disappearance became a story told in hushed tones and grand speeches alike, a story that reminded humanity of both its smallness and its potential, a story that would one day have to be resolved when the mystery of the Odyssey could finally be explained. Decades had passed since the Odyssey vanished, and the mystery of its disappearance had become a permanent shadow over humanity. People had long accepted the ship as lost, a bold mission swallowed by the endless darkness of space. Yet one quiet day, deep space monitoring stations picked up something unusual. A faint energy signature appeared near the outer edge of the solar system. It was unlike anything scientists had ever recorded. Its frequency and pattern were strange, almost deliberate, and it immediately drew global attention. Teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock to analyze the signal. Initial readings were confusing, but as more data poured in, experts realized that the signature matched the last known coordinates of the Odyssey. Hearts raced across the world. News outlets blared urgent headlines. Could it be the Odyssey? Could it finally be returning? Governments convened emergency meetings. Scientists debated the origin, wondering if the signal was a natural phenomenon, a glitch, or something more, something alive and intentional. Excitement and fear swept across Earth. People speculated endlessly. Could the crew still be alive? Had they discovered something extraordinary out there, something worth sending a signal back home? Rumors and theories multiplied. From alien encounters to hidden wormholes, the world's imagination ran wild. Social media exploded with conspiracy theories and hopeful predictions. Even ordinary citizens felt the pulse of history beating in real time, waiting to see if humanity would finally uncover one of its greatest mysteries. Space agencies launched fleets of unmanned probes and satellites to track the source of the energy signature. Every calculation was critical. Every moment of observation could reveal the truth. Data poured in, and slowly, scientists began to map a path through the dark void, following faint traces of energy. As they traced the source, the signal grew stronger and more structured. It seemed almost like a message, a beacon meant to guide Earth's eyes to the outer reaches of the solar system. The world held its collective breath as the signal's nature became clearer. It wasn't random interference or a natural anomaly. It was intelligent, deliberate, and precise. The pattern contained repeating pulses, almost like a code. Experts speculated that whoever or whatever was sending it had the ability to communicate across unimaginable distances. And if it was the Odyssey, then its crew had survived years in isolation, navigating unknown cosmic hazards, and somehow remained capable of reaching out to humanity. Governments scrambled to assemble teams to handle what could become the most important event in human history. Military experts were called in to assess potential threats. Scientists and linguists prepared to decode any information embedded in the signal. International space councils convened, debating whether to respond immediately or wait for the ship to come closer. Each moment brought tension and anticipation. Every eye in the world turned toward the signal, hoping, fearing, wondering what was to come. Families of the original crew, many now elderly, felt hope rekindle in their hearts. They remembered loved ones lost to the void, and now a chance appeared that they might return. The signal inspired not only scientific curiosity, but also a deeply human longing, a longing to reconnect with those who had vanished into the stars, and to understand what had happened in the years they were missing. Every message, every pulse of energy, became a symbol of resilience and possibility. As observation continued, the signal's path revealed that the source was moving closer to the solar system. Its trajectory suggested intelligence and precision, not random drift, not cosmic accident. Earth's population watched as astronomers projected its arrival date. Speculation ran rampant. What technology had the crew discovered? What had they learned in the depths of space? Could this signal be a harbinger of something that would change life on Earth forever? Excitement mixed with anxiety. Governments debated responses. Scientists theorized endlessly. News channels broadcast live updates, and people everywhere wondered if humanity was about to face a revelation unlike any other. The faint energy signature that had appeared decades after the Odyssey's disappearance was not just a signal. It was a promise, a message that the lost ship might return, and with it, answers that could reshape the future of humanity. And as the world watched and waited, hope and curiosity burned brighter than ever before. The world watched in stunned silence as the Odyssey finally emerged from the darkness of deep space. Its hull glimmered faintly under the light of distant stars, battered but intact. Evidence of the years it had spent traveling the unknown void was visible in every dent and scorch mark. Yet it moved steadily, deliberately toward Earth, sending signals that confirmed it was fully operational. The sight of the long-lost ship returning after decades caused shockwaves across every continent. People gathered in public squares, stared at screens, and held their breath. A mixture of disbelief, excitement, and fear filled the air. As the Odyssey entered Earth's orbit, it broadcast a cryptic message that stunned everyone. We bring solutions. The message was short, almost eerie in its simplicity. Yet it carried a weight that no one could ignore. Governments scrambled to understand its meaning. Scientists debated what kind of solutions the crew could possibly offer. Was it advanced technology, knowledge from alien civilizations, or something humanity could not yet comprehend? Speculation spread like wildfire, and the entire world waited with bated breath. Officials quickly organized a protocol for docking, coordinating military ships, space stations, and ground-based teams to monitor the ship. Every decision was critical. The Odyssey represented both hope and potential risk. Could humanity handle whatever was coming, or was this a danger they could not yet see? Meanwhile, news outlets broadcast continuous coverage, live footage showing the ship's approach. The crew, whose faces had been absent for decades, became the focus of the world's imagination. People wondered what they looked like now, how time had changed them, and what stories they carried from the unknown reaches of space. Inside the Odyssey, the crew was busy preparing for their return. They had endured years of isolation, navigating unknown galaxies and surviving challenges beyond human understanding. Every crew member had changed, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. The vast emptiness of space had shaped them, taught them resilience, and forced them to confront fears no one else could imagine. They were cautious about revealing too much too quickly, aware that humanity might not be ready for all they had learned. Yet, they were determined to fulfill their mission and to share the discoveries that could change the future. As the ship moved closer, scientists and engineers on Earth scrambled to understand its systems. Probes and sensors recorded every pulse of energy, every maneuver, trying to anticipate what the crew might do next. Every movement was studied, every signal analyzed. The world seemed to hold its collective breath, waiting for the moment when the Odyssey would finally reveal itself. A mixture of hope and anxiety filled the atmosphere. People whispered to each other about the possibilities. Could this ship bring answers to questions humanity had pondered for decades? Could it finally explain the mystery of its disappearance? When docking began, the first images of the crew appeared on massive screens worldwide. They looked older, wiser, and stronger. Each face told a story of endurance and courage. The crew spoke with calm authority. Their message carried confidence, yet hinted at untold adventures and experiences that would soon be shared. News reporters described scenes of awe as people everywhere saw the long-lost explorers. It was a moment of historic significance. Humanity was witnessing the return of heroes who had ventured further than anyone had dared. The crew's initial communications hinted at discoveries beyond imagination. They mentioned technologies and knowledge acquired in places far beyond the reach of previous missions. Yet details were carefully measured, enough to excite and inspire, but not enough to overwhelm. The world felt a mix of relief and anticipation. Relief that the crew had survived. Anticipation for the knowledge and innovations they would bring. Discussions erupted across governments, universities, and research centers about how this technology could reshape life on Earth. Every city, every space agency, and every scientist felt the weight of history. The return of the Odyssey was more than a homecoming. It was a reminder of humanity's courage and curiosity. It represented the possibility that even after decades of uncertainty, hope could survive, grow, and finally lead to answers. As the ship settled into orbit and preparations for landing began, the world watched with unity and fascination. People realized that this was not just the return of a lost ship, but the beginning of a chapter that could redefine the future. And the message, "We bring solutions," echoed in every mind, promising change, discovery, and a new era for humanity. When the Odyssey finally docked with Earth's orbital stations, the world waited eagerly to see its crew. The long-lost explorers emerged, alive but unmistakably changed. Their faces bore the marks of time, stress, and the hardships of space travel. Yet their eyes held a spark of knowledge and determination. The crew had survived in a part of the galaxy that no human had ever reached. They had faced challenges that were unimaginable, and every member carried stories that would reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. The crew began sharing their experiences, describing years spent navigating uncharted territories, encountering phenomena beyond human comprehension, and surviving situations that would have broken lesser beings. They told of alien civilizations, some peaceful, some indifferent, and the lessons learned from interacting with them. The crew spoke of technology far beyond what Earth had developed, innovations that could solve energy crises, medical limitations, and even transportation issues. Every detail was carefully explained, ensuring the world could grasp the magnitude without being overwhelmed. Humanity listened in awe as the crew recounted the isolation, the dangers, and the unexpected discoveries. Their journey had tested their courage, ingenuity, and teamwork in ways that no simulation could replicate. They had learned to repair, innovate, and survive using both human knowledge and alien guidance. The experiences had changed them, making them wiser, more resilient, and more aware of the fragile position humanity held in the vastness of space. People everywhere marveled at the bravery of these explorers, recognizing that they had gone farther than anyone could imagine and returned to share the truth. The crew's stories included incredible encounters with cosmic phenomena that defied known science, from energy storms that could erase data in milliseconds to gravity wells that bent time and space. Every event they described was a mix of danger and discovery, teaching humanity that the universe was both beautiful and perilous. The crew emphasized that these experiences were not just adventures, but lessons about caution, preparation, and respect for forces far greater than humanity had ever faced. Their accounts inspired scientists and dreamers alike, fueling excitement for what could be achieved in the future. As the crew spoke about the technologies they had encountered, excitement surged across Earth. They described propulsion systems capable of near-instant travel between planets, energy sources that could power entire cities without pollution, and medical devices that could heal injuries and diseases previously considered incurable. Each revelation sparked debates about ethics, usage, and potential consequences. Leaders and experts realized that humanity had been given an unprecedented opportunity, and with it, a heavy responsibility. The crew stressed that knowledge without caution could be dangerous, and the world had to be prepared for what was coming. Families and friends of the crew were finally reunited. Their joy mixed with wonder at the changes the crew had undergone. People observed the bond between the explorers, seeing how years of shared struggle had forged a unity and understanding beyond ordinary human experience. The crew's presence reminded everyone that courage, perseverance, and hope could overcome even the most extreme challenges. Their stories were not only about survival, but also about humanity's potential to grow, adapt, and thrive even when faced with the unknown. The crew also recounted the moments of despair, when hope seemed lost, and how they had relied on each other. Their stories were filled with tension, bravery, and ingenuity, showing that even in the darkest corners of space, human determination could shine. Listeners realized that the lessons from the Odyssey were not only scientific, but deeply human, teaching resilience, teamwork, and the importance of knowledge, preparation, and courage when facing challenges far beyond normal comprehension. Every report, every story, and every demonstration shared by the crew inspired both awe and ambition. Humanity understood that the universe was vast, filled with mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. The Odyssey's return was not just a homecoming, but a message that exploration, courage, and knowledge could lead to breakthroughs that would redefine life on Earth. People everywhere felt the weight of this realization, that the universe was not a distant dream, but a reality waiting to be explored, and that the bravery of a few could illuminate the path for many. The crew concluded their initial debriefs by emphasizing unity, responsibility, and patience. They had survived unimaginable odds, acquired game-changing knowledge, and returned to share it. But they warned that Earth had to choose wisely how to use what they had brought back. Their presence was both a gift and a challenge, teaching humanity that great discoveries came with great responsibility. And as the world absorbed these lessons, it became clear that the return of the Odyssey was only the beginning of a story that would reshape the future. The crew of the Odyssey revealed technologies that seemed almost magical to humanity, innovations that could transform life on Earth in ways previously thought impossible. They described energy systems capable of providing limitless clean power, harnessing forces from distant stars and cosmic phenomena. Cities could run without pollution. Every home could have access to abundant energy. The world listened in disbelief and excitement, realizing that these discoveries could end the age-old struggle for resources and change the planet forever. They spoke of propulsion systems that defied known physics, allowing spacecraft to travel vast distances in incredibly short times. These systems could make interstellar travel a reality, opening doors to exploration and colonization far beyond the solar system. Scientists and engineers scrambled to understand the principles behind these designs. The crew explained them in simple terms at first, but the implications were enormous. Humanity had never imagined moving through the stars with such speed and efficiency. Medical breakthroughs were another area that captured global attention. The crew shared devices that could accelerate healing, cure diseases that had plagued humans for centuries, and even repair injuries that were previously permanent. Hospitals and research centers buzzed with excitement. Imagining a future where death and suffering could be greatly reduced, the crew emphasized that such power had to be used responsibly, for any misuse could have devastating consequences. In addition to civilian applications, the crew acknowledged that military forces would immediately see the potential for weapons. They warned of the dangers of greed, conflict, and misuse, stressing that the technologies were meant to advance humanity, not destroy it. Governments debated fiercely, some eager to claim these advancements as strategic advantages, others calling for international cooperation and transparency. Tensions rose quickly, illustrating that while the technology was a gift, human nature could turn it into a threat. Everyday citizens were filled with hope and curiosity. News reports and live demonstrations showed the world that the impossible had become possible. People began to dream of a future where energy was abundant, travel was easy, and disease was no longer a death sentence. The crew's revelations inspired inventors, researchers, and young minds everywhere, spurring a renaissance of scientific ambition and imagination. Humanity suddenly realized that it was no longer limited by its previous understanding, but had a chance to step into a new era. Debates about ethics, accessibility, and control dominated discussions. Experts argued about how to regulate these technologies, how to prevent monopolies, and how to ensure that they benefited all of humanity rather than just a few. Philosophers and moral thinkers weighed in, asking whether humanity was truly ready to wield such power. The crew emphasized that responsibility was as important as innovation, that these tools were not just practical, but moral tests for the species. The excitement was balanced by caution. Governments imposed temporary restrictions while committees studied the technologies. Scientists worked tirelessly to understand the principles and potential limitations, while engineers tried small-scale experiments to test applications safely. Every step forward was met with anticipation and fear. Humanity was learning that progress came with both promise and danger, that the knowledge from the Odyssey was powerful, but only as useful as the wisdom guiding it. The media captured every demonstration, from energy devices powering entire neighborhoods to spacecraft prototypes moving at unimaginable speeds. People watched with wonder, feeling that history was unfolding before their eyes. Universities and research centers became hubs of innovation. Inspired by the crew's teachings, young scientists and engineers eagerly joined programs designed to learn from the technologies. The Odyssey's return had sparked a global movement, a surge of hope and ambition unlike anything before. Despite the enthusiasm, the crew repeatedly reminded everyone that misuse could be catastrophic. Even the smallest mistake could have large-scale consequences. They told stories of alien civilizations that had fallen because their technology was used carelessly. Humanity was now at a crossroads, with the power to elevate civilization to unimaginable heights, but also the risk of destroying itself if greed and recklessness took control. The lesson was clear. Knowledge alone was not enough. It had to be tempered with wisdom, ethics, and foresight. As discussions continued across the planet, the world realized that the technologies from the Odyssey represented more than just tools. They were symbols of hope, potential, and responsibility. Humanity had been handed the keys to a new era, but it would take courage, collaboration, and careful decision-making to use them wisely. And as the crew looked on, they understood that Earth's people were capable of greatness, but only if they could rise above fear, selfishness, and short-term thinking. The revelations of the Odyssey had changed everything, and the future of humanity had suddenly become brighter, but also far more complex. The return of the Odyssey and the revelation of its advanced technologies ignited a wave of excitement across Earth. But it also sparked intense political tension. Governments immediately recognized the strategic and economic value of the innovations. Energy sources, propulsion systems, and medical breakthroughs could change the balance of power overnight. Nations scrambled to assert control over the ship and its knowledge. Each wanted to claim first access and dominate the new era that was beginning. Diplomatic channels were flooded with urgent communications, world leaders held emergency summits, and secret meetings were convened. Some nations proposed sharing the technology for the benefit of all humanity, while others quietly prepared plans to secure the discoveries for themselves. Spies, intelligence agencies, and corporate interests became heavily involved, trying to gain advantages even before the crew could fully explain the systems. The potential for conflict was high, and tensions mounted visibly on the global stage. Military organizations were particularly alert. Seeing both opportunity and risk, the crew repeatedly warned that misuse of the technology could be catastrophic. Yet the temptation to weaponize limitless energy and advanced propulsion was irresistible. Generals and strategists debated openly about how these technologies could strengthen defense and deterrence. The world faced a difficult question. Could humanity use these gifts for progress, or would they ignite wars fueled by greed and ambition? Meanwhile, scientists and innovators pushed for international cooperation, urging that the knowledge should be studied, tested, and deployed responsibly. They stressed that the discoveries had the potential to solve energy crises, cure diseases, and enable space exploration. But the political machinations threatened to derail careful scientific work. Negotiations became heated, with accusations of secrecy, theft, and sabotage circulating widely. Public opinion became divided. Some hailed their governments for protecting national interests. Others feared that secrecy would prevent humanity from benefiting fully. As debates intensified, cybersecurity and espionage became major concerns. Hackers and rogue operatives attempted to access information from the Odyssey and associated databases. The crew cautioned that tampering with the technology could be dangerous. Even small mistakes could have devastating consequences. Yet the allure of power proved irresistible, and covert operations escalated, raising fears of potential sabotage or accidents. The very technologies meant to advance humanity now carried the risk of catastrophic misuse. The media amplified every rumor and leak. Citizens watched anxiously as world leaders negotiated and argued. Tensions between superpowers seemed to teeter on the brink of confrontation. International organizations called for calm, urging patience and transparency. But the pressure to act first to gain advantage grew stronger by the hour. Humanity had been given a gift, but with it came the reflection of human nature: ambition, fear, and competition. In addition to governments, corporations and private entities became involved. Seeing the potential to profit from new energy, medicine, and transportation technologies, proposals for monopolies, patents, and exclusive rights threatened to create inequality and conflict. Scientists warned that these technologies were too powerful to be controlled by a single nation or company. That shared responsibility and oversight were essential. The crew supported these warnings, emphasizing that global cooperation was not just ideal, but necessary for survival and progress. Amid the political chaos, small victories of collaboration began to appear. Some nations agreed to share information. Some scientific teams worked across borders, and discussions started on creating international frameworks for technology management. Yet the tension never fully disappeared. The allure of control, influence, and strategic dominance remained strong. Every decision carried moral and ethical weight. The world realized that these discoveries were as much a test of humanity's character as they were of its intelligence. As the Odyssey's technologies were slowly revealed, the world understood that progress could not be rushed, that the path to using them wisely required patience, foresight, and unity. The crew remained a voice of caution, guiding humanity toward thoughtful application. They reminded leaders and citizens alike that misuse could have consequences far beyond what anyone could imagine. The lesson was clear. Power without responsibility could destroy everything, and the political struggle over the Odyssey's legacy was a reflection of that truth. The tension continued to shape every discussion, every treaty negotiation, and every research plan. Humanity stood at a crossroads, with the potential to enter an era of unprecedented advancement, or fall into chaos fueled by fear, competition, and ambition. The crew's warnings and guidance became essential, a steady reminder that the future depended not only on what was discovered, but on how wisely it was used. And as nations weighed power against responsibility, the world realized that the choices made in these tense days would define humanity's place among the stars. The crew of the Odyssey proposed a test mission to show humanity how their discoveries could be used responsibly. They wanted to prove that the advanced technologies were not dangerous if applied with care. Governments and scientists debated the idea fiercely. Some worried that the mission could backfire, while others saw it as the perfect opportunity to demonstrate progress. The stakes were high, for this test would not only show the technology's potential, but also humanity's ability to handle it wisely. A council was formed, including scientists, diplomats, military advisors, and the crew. Each voice carried weight, and every decision was debated in detail. The first challenge was choosing the purpose of the mission. Should it focus on energy distribution, medical applications, or exploration? Each option offered benefits, but also risks. The council had to ensure that the test would prove responsible usage while minimizing any chance of disaster. This required careful planning, simulations, and contingency strategies. The crew explained how the technology worked in practical terms, showing how propulsion systems could allow rapid travel without endangering the crew, how energy systems could power remote areas without pollution, and how medical devices could be used safely to treat injuries and diseases. They emphasized that even minor mistakes could have serious consequences, and that training, discipline, and ethical judgment were as important as technical skill. Teams of scientists and engineers underwent intensive preparation, learning the principles of the alien technologies, running simulations, and practicing emergency procedures. The process was rigorous, and mistakes were corrected immediately. Every participant understood that the mission was not just about science, but about proving that humanity could act responsibly when given immense power. The crew served as both teachers and guides, sharing lessons learned from their years in deep space, and ensuring that knowledge was applied carefully. As preparations continued, philosophical debates emerged. Leaders and ethicists questioned whether humanity was truly ready for such power. Could nations and individuals resist the temptation to misuse the technologies? Would greed or fear override wisdom and ethics? The test mission became more than a scientific trial. It became a measure of humanity's maturity. Its success depended not only on technology, but on judgment, cooperation, and restraint. Finally, the day of the mission arrived, and the world watched in anticipation. The test was designed to demonstrate practical benefits without risking harm. Energy devices powered hospitals and schools in isolated regions. Propulsion technology transported supplies across vast distances in record time. And medical devices treated serious injuries successfully. Every step of the mission was carefully monitored, each success building confidence that humanity could use these discoveries wisely. The mission also revealed challenges. Small errors in coordination caused delays. Communication misunderstandings had to be corrected quickly, and unexpected technical anomalies tested the team's problem-solving skills. Yet every obstacle was overcome through collaboration, careful planning, and ethical decision-making. The crew emphasized that challenges were inevitable, but the key was how humans responded, demonstrating that maturity and responsibility were as essential as the technology itself. As the mission concluded, results were analyzed worldwide. The Council reported that the technologies could indeed be used safely and effectively, but only if ethical guidelines were followed. Governance and oversight were crucial. The test proved not only the practical potential of the discoveries, but also humanity's capacity to rise to the responsibility. It showed that with patience, discipline, and cooperation, the technologies could benefit all people rather than a select few. Public reaction was a mix of awe and relief. People realized that the crew had not just returned with tools, but with a lesson about character and responsibility. Young scientists and engineers were inspired to dream bigger. Leaders recognized that global cooperation was necessary, and ordinary citizens understood that progress could only be sustained through ethical choices. The mission became a turning point, a demonstration that humanity could meet challenges beyond imagination with wisdom and courage. The crew's message was clear throughout. The test mission was only the beginning. Success depended not on the technologies themselves, but on how humans chose to use them. They reminded everyone that power without ethics could lead to disaster, that responsibility must guide innovation, and that the future of humanity in the universe depended on collective wisdom, patience, and moral judgment. As the world absorbed this lesson, hope and determination grew, and a sense of readiness began to take hold, preparing humanity for the next steps into a vast and unknown cosmos. A historic mission was launched using the alien technology brought back by the Odyssey. Humanity watched as the first spacecraft, powered by the advanced propulsion systems, left Earth's orbit. The mission was carefully planned, designed to demonstrate peaceful exploration, scientific discovery, and the responsible use of energy and medical technologies. Every step was monitored by scientists, engineers, and international observers, ensuring that the lessons from the crew's experiences were applied with care. The world held its collective breath, knowing that this journey could redefine humanity's place in the universe. The spacecraft traveled farther and faster than any human vessel before. Gliding smoothly through the void, powered by energy that seemed limitless, satellites and ground stations tracked its every move, recording data, monitoring systems, and ensuring that safety protocols were maintained. The success of the mission demonstrated that human ingenuity, when guided by responsibility and knowledge, could achieve what was once considered impossible. People on Earth felt a surge of pride and hope, realizing that the dream of interstellar exploration had finally become attainable. Meanwhile, scientists on Earth used the alien technologies to tackle pressing problems. Energy plants powered entire cities without emitting pollution. Medical devices treated patients with unprecedented speed and effectiveness. Hospitals and research centers became centers of innovation and learning. Education and training programs were expanded to ensure that the next generation could use these tools wisely. Humanity was witnessing the beginning of a new era, one where survival, exploration, and progress were no longer constrained by old limitations. The crew of the Odyssey was celebrated as heroes. Their journey, survival, and guidance had opened the door to possibilities that no one had dared imagine. Yet they reminded humanity that achievements were only meaningful if paired with wisdom. They urged leaders, scientists, and citizens to use the technologies to uplift life rather than dominate or destroy. Their words carried weight, as everyone knew that the lessons they shared were forged in the harshest environments of space, experiences that no Earthbound simulations could replicate. As the mission continued, discoveries poured in. Scientists found new ways to harness energy more efficiently. Researchers explored planets and moons previously unreachable. Medical teams applied advanced healing techniques to treat chronic conditions. Each success reinforced the promise that humanity had entered a new age. The technologies were no longer abstract concepts. They were practical tools shaping everyday life and opening doors to futures once thought impossible. Ethical questions continued to guide discussions. Leaders debated governance, distribution, and oversight. Philosophers and ethicists explored the implications of newfound power. Ensuring that humanity did not repeat the mistakes of civilizations the crew had encountered in distant galaxies, the message was clear. Progress without responsibility could be dangerous. And the success of the first mission became a model for combining innovation with careful, deliberate moral guidance. People everywhere felt inspired. Young scientists, engineers, and explorers dreamed bigger. Knowing that the universe was no longer an untouchable frontier, ordinary citizens marveled at the possibilities. From cities powered cleanly to faster transportation, to life-saving medical technology. Everyone felt connected to the mission, united by the potential for human achievement and the reminder of courage, perseverance, and hope. The crew emphasized that this was only the beginning. The first mission proved that humans could handle the technology responsibly, but the future would demand continued vigilance, collaboration, and learning. The tools were powerful, but the people using them determined the outcome. Humanity was being tested not only for skill and intelligence, but for ethics, cooperation, and vision. The lessons learned from the Odyssey's journey were embedded in every decision, ensuring that progress would be sustainable and meaningful. As the mission returned to Earth, celebrations erupted, but the crew reminded everyone to remain humble, to remember that the universe was vast, full of unknown challenges and opportunities. Humanity had taken its first true steps toward a new era, but much remained to be discovered. The technologies had unlocked potential, but the responsibility to use them wisely rested on every person. Every decision, from leaders to scientists to citizens, would shape the future. The world realized that the Odyssey's return had done more than bring advanced technology. It had brought a new vision for humanity, a vision of exploration, collaboration, and responsible progress. People felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that courage, ethics, and knowledge could lead to incredible achievements. The story of the ship and its crew became a symbol, a reminder that while the universe was vast and mysterious, humanity's potential was limitless. If guided by wisdom, responsibility, and the courage to dream beyond the stars,